So I'm going to be doing an herbal infusion demonstration using elderflower and calendula, and I wanted to show you this process. So let's go ahead and go over to my workspace and I'll show you how it's done. I'm going to go ahead and weigh out 10 grams of the elderflower, or you can just measure 1/4 of a cup. I'm just going to go ahead and weigh it today because my 1/4 measuring cup is being used for something else, so this will just be a little easier. We'll just go ahead and continue to add this until we get 10 grams, and there we go, close enough. And then next we're going to weigh out some calendula. Let me just tear that or zero out that scale. I just want 6 grams of calendula. And these two flowers combined are going to just make a wonderful face serum. The components for both of these flowers are soothing and nourishing to the skin. So we're going to have a really beautiful and nutritive face serum when we're done. So for the oils that we'll be using today, we are going to be using jojoba oil, and I've also decided to combine that with a fractionated coconut oil. And the reason for both of those oils, not only are they wonderful for the skin, but they also have a long shelf life. And because they're a little bit more stable, I'm using them today because the method that I'm going to be using for infusing is a heat method, a direct heat method. And so I want my oils to be very stable. You know, some of the less stable oils don't do well when you heat them up. So for this infusion, since we are heating the oil, I want to go ahead and use an oil that's more stable. And the reason that we're heating the oils today, normally I don't like to do that ever, but there are some exceptions, and calendula is one of those exceptions. It's, you know, one of its properties, it's got resin, and so the way for the resin to be extracted is by using heat. And you can still get beautiful properties from calendula if you use, you know, just your cold infusion method, but you're going to just miss out on that resin. And resin is also wonderful, has beneficial properties for the skin, so we want to be sure to include that. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the herbs are completely covered with this oil. And I can already see that I don't have enough oil in this jar. Now I'm following a recipe, but as you can see, these oils are, well, it may not be that easy to see, but the oils are not completely covering the dried herbs, and we need that. We need the oil to cover it at least a little bit above the actual dried herbs, because these dried herbs are going to expand. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour in a little bit more fractionated coconut oil and just get that oil level a little bit higher, and that way these dried herbs have a way to expand. So we have it on the heat, and I just started it, so it'll be a while before we see any significant changes. But again, we're just going to gently heat this. I'm going to get my digital thermometer and place it inside this glass so I can keep an eye on the temperature. And I highly recommend that you have a digital thermometer. You probably already have one in your kitchen, but just in case you don't, I really recommend that you purchase one. They're not expensive at all. They're oftentimes under $10. So after no more than, I would say, 5 minutes, we are at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can hopefully see that I have a flame tamer on this flame. It's on the lowest flame, on the smallest burner that I have on my stove. So what I will do is, as that continues to warm up, I will remove the flame, or remove the pan from the flame, and just let it cool off for a little bit, and then place it back on the low flame and just gently warm it and infuse it this way. It's just jumped up to 101, so I'm going to go ahead and just turn that flame off. And I'm also going to go ahead and put a lid on this. I don't want it exposed to the air, so I'm going to just go ahead and put one of these airtight lids that come with our mason jars. I'm not going to secure it. I'm just going to place it on top, and then that just will prevent anything from flying in there, dust or hair down, dog hair or anything like that. So we'll just go ahead and keep that covered, and I will be tending this closely for the next several hours, just checking on it, making sure that it's warming but not too warm. So I'm placing this herbal infusion on my countertop near a window, and also, as you can see, under the skylights. And what I'm finding is that this setup here is keeping the temperature of the oil right around 100 degrees. So it's a wonderful way of quickly doing a direct heat herbal infusion without too much heat. And obviously, if it was a summer day, it probably would heat up much quicker and much hotter, and so I would have to adjust as needed. But for today, with a partly cloudy sky, see if you can see that through the skylights. With this partly cloudy sky, we are keeping temperatures moderate enough so that we can infuse this oil for several hours at a reasonable temperature of 100 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take a few degrees. It could go a little higher and could drop below, but either way, we will extract the nutritive properties from these beautiful herbs, the Elderflower and Calendula, and we'll be able to use these in our face serum, which I am so excited to use. So this infusion is finished, and I'm just going to go ahead and remove the herbal matter now. So what I've done is I've set up a measuring cup with a mesh strainer, and then I'm just going to line it with a real fine cheesecloth as well. And the reason for that is we want to keep all of the herbal matter out of our oil. So we'll just go ahead and scoop this in. We'll pour it in and then scoop out any remaining oil. But you can see that herbal matter is all soft, and it actually smells very good. It smells very much like calendula, which isn't necessarily super aromatic flower, but it does smell nice. So what I'm going to do now is just let this drain. I'll let gravity do most of the work, and I'll cover this for now, just so nothing falls into it. And I'll just let it sit, let gravity do the work, and then probably in an hour or so, I'll come back and just show you the final process, which is just simply me squeezing the mesh cloth and getting out all the extra oil and then bottling it up. And this is just an example of me letting gravity do the work. You can see that beautiful oil. It's got all of the extracted nutrients from the plants. So we're just going to wait patiently for this, and then we'll bottle it up. So you can see we have a little less than 4 ounces, and I'm going to go ahead and just squeeze that cheesecloth now and get any extra oil that we might be able to garner from this infusion. So I'm going to go ahead and start that now. So we just carefully twist, as you can see. It's pretty tight around the top, and then I'll just give it a good squeeze, and we'll just use whatever extra we can get. We've taken the time to infuse this oil, so we want to be able to use as much of it as possible. And I could do this for a long time, but I'm not going to. I'll just go ahead and give it just a few squeezes, and then from there we'll just start bottling. This actually can be used in your compost, and also what I'll do with this is I'll just rub it on my arms and my legs, and then I'll put it in the compost. If I had a compost, I don't have one, so I'm just mentioning that in case you do. But I'll just discard this after I use the excess oils that are still in here. Just put it on my skin, and I'll be well hydrated for the day. I have these wonderful little jars. This is a 1 ounce pump jar, and then these are just these nice little roller ball jars. I may or may not use this today, just depending upon how much I want to place into an application container, and then I'll also have some left over that I will use in the future, but I'd like to use this as quickly as possible, so I'm going to go ahead and just start pouring this in. And this is our final product. So as you can see, I have taken our infused oil and placed it in these rollerball type applicator bottles, and I used the elderflower and the calendula to decorate the infused oil in these bottles. I typically like to use amber amber colored bottles, because they protect the oil from sunlight. But since I had these clear rollerball containers, I decided to decorate them with the herbs that were actually used in the infusion, and I think it really makes it quite pretty. It's very nice to see the actual flower petals inside the jar. And I use tangerine essential oil in most of these, but some of these jars have lavender inside, and I realize it may be difficult to see, but there is some lavender in there, and in that case I went ahead and used lavender essential oil. But we started off with a little less than 4 ounces. This is a 1 ounce pump jar, which works really nice in terms of applicating on your skin. Just a little pump. You can use it on your face, or several pumps if you're using it on your body, depending upon what your skincare needs are. And then these roller ball applicators, they're very nice to carry in your purse. They're scented, so you can use them for aromatherapy, but they're also super moisturizing. So this is it in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, let me know. If you've tried something like this, I'd love to hear how it went, so please be sure to share. But yeah, we have a beautiful infused oil that we can use and share with our friends and our loved ones, and super excited about that.